The meeting, my name is Anna. I never believed that one day my life would change so much. For many years, I lived quietly in a small town near the sea. My days were simple. I worked in a little bookshop, walked home in the evenings, and sometimes sat on the beach to watch the sunset. I liked my life, but deep inside, I felt a little lonely. The bookshop was my favorite place. Old books. The smell of paper, the quiet sound of pages turning. It felt safe. Customers came and went, but most of them were the same faces every week. I did not expect anything new. Then one rainy evening, everything changed. The rain was falling softly, and the streets were almost empty. I was closing the shop when the door opened and a man walked in. His coat was wet, and his dark hair was messy from the rain. He looked tired but also calm. His eyes, they were deep and gentle, like the sea at night. "Sorry," he said, smiling a little. "Are you still open?" I nodded. "Yes, come in." He walked slowly between the shelves, touching some books with his fingers. I watched him carefully. He was not like other customers. Most people came, bought something quickly, and left. But this man, he was different. He moved as if he respected every book, as if each one had a soul. Finally, he stopped at the shelf near the window and picked up an old poetry book. His smile grew warmer. "This one," he said, coming to the counter. "I was looking for it for a long time." I looked at the cover. It was a book of poems about love and time. Not many people bought it. "You like poetry?" I asked. "Yes," he answered softly. "Poetry can heal the heart." His words touched me. I wanted to ask more, but I felt shy. He paid, thanked me, and walked out into the rain. I thought I would never see him again. But life had other plans. The next day he came back. The day after that, too. Sometimes he bought a book. Sometimes he only talked for a few minutes. His name was Michael. He had moved to our town recently. He told me he liked quiet places, the sea, and books that spoke about life. Slowly, I felt something inside me changing. His presence was soft but strong, like a light in the dark. I wanted to see him more and more. One evening, as we walked out of the shop together, the rain started again. I had no umbrella, but he did. He opened it and held it over both of us. We walked side by side, so close that I could hear his breath. My heart was beating fast, but I felt safe. "Anna," he said suddenly, "thank you for these days. I was lonely before I came here, but now I don't feel lonely anymore." I looked at him, and for the first time in a long while, I smiled with my whole heart. I did not know then how much pain and beauty this story would bring. I only knew that something had started. Something big. Something that would change my life forever. The walks by the sea. Michael and I began to meet more often. At first it was only in the bookshop. Then he started waiting for me after work, and we walked together through the quiet streets of our little town. Sometimes we stopped at the cafe near the square. Sometimes we went straight to the sea. The sea was always special for me. I loved the sound of the waves and the soft wind. But with Michael, the sea became something more. When we walked near the water, I felt that time slowed down. The world around us was big and silent, but between us there was warmth. He spoke little, but his words were always kind. He told me about his life in the city, how fast everything was, how people were always running, always busy. He said he was tired of noise and empty conversations. That was why he came to our town, to find peace. "And did you find it?" I asked one evening. He looked at me with his deep eyes and said, "Yes." More than I expected. My heart was full of quiet joy. Days passed, and we began to share small secrets. He told me he liked to play the piano but had stopped many years ago. I told him I sometimes wrote in a diary about my dreams, but I never showed it to anyone. He smiled and said, One day, maybe you will show me. I was not sure, but I liked the thought that he wanted to know more about me. One Saturday evening, the sky was red with sunset. We sat on a bench near the sea. The air was fresh, the waves soft. Michael was silent for a long time. Then he spoke. Anna, do you believe that people meet for a reason? I thought about his question. Yes, I said slowly. I think every meeting has a meaning. He looked at me as if my answer made him both happy and sad at the same time. I hope you are right, he whispered. His voice was soft, but there was something hidden inside, something heavy. I wanted to ask him more, but I did not. I was afraid to break the moment. That night, when I returned home, I could not sleep. I felt both light and worried. Light, because I knew that I was falling in love. Worried, because I felt that Michael carried something in his heart, something he did not want to share yet. The next day, he brought me a small gift. It was a book of poems, the same one he bought on the first evening. Inside on the first page, he wrote, "To Anna, for the light you bring into dark days." I almost cried when I read it. I looked at him, my voice shaking. Why do you say dark days? He smiled gently, but his eyes turned sad. One day, I will tell you. Not today. I understood then that his soul was not free. Something from his past held him, but my heart was already his. And so the story of our love continued, beautiful, tender, and full of secrets. The secret in his eyes. The autumn came quietly to our town. The air grew colder, and the leaves turned gold and red. Every evening Michael and I still met, but now we walked with scarves and warm coats. The sea was stronger, the waves louder, but I loved it even more. Our closeness grew. Sometimes he held my hand when we walked. Sometimes we sat in silence, only listening to the sound of the sea. I felt safe near him, as if nothing bad could happen in the world. But at the same time, I often saw something in his eyes. It was a sadness, hidden but real. When he looked at me, I could feel both love and pain. One evening I finally asked, "Michael, why are you sad sometimes?" He stopped walking. For a moment he said nothing. Then he smiled softly. "I don't want to hurt you, Anna. There are things in my past that are heavy. I cannot speak about them yet. But please trust me. Being with you is the only light I have now." His words touched me deeply. I wanted to know the truth, but I also wanted to protect him. So I said nothing more. I only held his hand tighter. A few days later, we went to the old piano hall near the park. It was empty most of the time, but the caretaker let Michael play when he wanted. When he sat at the piano, I saw a different man. His hands moved with grace, his face full of feeling. The music was sad and beautiful, like a story without words. I closed my eyes and listened. When he finished, I whispered, "Why did you stop playing before?" He looked down at the keys. "Because of memories. Music brings them back." "What kind of memories?" I asked gently. He shook his head. "One day, Anna. I promise. One day I felt my heart ache, but I did not push him. Weeks passed, and my love only grew. Every small thing he did stayed in my heart. The way he smiled when I laughed, the way he listened carefully when I spoke, the way he always noticed if I was cold and gave me his coat. One night, as we walked home under the stars, he suddenly stopped and looked at me. "Anna," he said, "if one day I go away, will you remember me?" His question cut through me like cold wind. "Go away?" I repeated. "Why would you go away?" He gave me a sad smile. "Life is not always kind, but I want you to know you are the most beautiful part of my days." Tears came to my eyes. I wanted to tell him that he must never leave, that I needed him, but my lips could not say it. I only whispered, I will always remember you, Michael. Always. That night, when I lay in bed, I could not sleep. His words echoed in my mind. Why would he go away? What secret was he hiding? I did not know the answer, but I knew that whatever it was, my love for him was already too deep. I could not step back anymore. The sea kept singing outside my window, and I prayed that fate would not take him from me. The ending winter came. The sea was wild, the wind strong. Michael and I still met every day, but I felt time was running. His eyes were full of love, but also of silence. One evening, snow began to fall. We walked near the water, white flakes touching our hair. He stopped and took my hands in his. His face was calm, but his voice was heavy. Anna, he said softly, I must tell you the truth. I am ill. For months I tried to fight it, but the doctors, they cannot help me. I came here because I wanted peace. I did not plan to meet you. But then, Ina, you gave me more than I ever hoped for. I felt the world fall around me. Tears filled my eyes. No, I whispered. You cannot leave me. We still have so many days, so many dreams. He touched my face with his cold hand. Even if my days are short, I am not afraid anymore. Because I loved you, Anna, and because you loved me. We held each other under the falling snow. The sea roared, the night was dark, but between us there was light. A few weeks later, he was gone. But he never truly left. His poems, his music, his smile, and his gentle voice lived in my heart. I still walk to the sea every evening, and I still feel him beside me. Yes, the story ended with pain, but it was also full of beauty. Love gave meaning to the days we had. And even if love is lost, its light stays.